Arashi, Prince of the Sky. Chapter 22. Thunder. The alarm went off at 6 a.m. A soft chime, but the frequency was so shrill, they had no choice but to get up. Arashi, Cody, Ishara, and Shimari left the facility together to head to the next location to depart to Africa. The morning was quiet, and there was a nervous excitement in the air for everyone. But before leaving, the boys were getting fitted and dressed in their own suits. They were greeted by a familiar stranger.
Knock, knock, boys. I have your suits.
The second brother, Anad, sauntered into the room, rolling a clothing rack. Arashi and Cody were looking at each other confused.
Yo, are they short-staffed or something, Sarai? You a nurse and a stylist? That's a weird combo, bro.
They are very much understaffed, but I'm not my brother. My name is Anad,
he said with a tiny bow of his head. Arashi did notice the energy was similar but different from Sarai. There was a flame in him, but it wasn't stable. It felt a bit wild to him. Arashi and Cody gave each other another puzzled look, mixed with surprise and more confusion. Anad wore the same tight jet black hair, wrapped in a ponytail like his brother. But he was dressed in a tailored suit that clung to his body perfectly, and his features were a bit more angular. He could definitely play an elf in The Hobbit.
Yes, we are twins. I'm the better half, clearly. You're Shay Cody Shay, correct?
Yes, sir.
So then that will make you the Prince of the Sky, correct?
Anad said in his most charming voice, but it still came off a little creepy. Arashi nodded his head yes and chuckled to himself, asking, who the hell are these guys in his head?
So, did it hurt?
Anad asked. Arashi furrowed his brow and tilted his head down like a dog that just heard a strange sound.
You know, when fear cut you, did it hurt? Does it hurt now? Is it still hurting?
He was extremely eager to find that out. He was smirking as he waited for his answer, giving Arashi those same eyes as his brother Sarai. Arashi was caught off guard by the sudden rapid questioning from this stranger, but also by the sudden tinge of pain he felt shooting from his wrist up to his shoulder. Arashi shook it off and quickly averted his eyes and went to text his response into his device. His mind was racing. He didn't like people knowing things about him that he didn't personally tell them. Cody looked between the both of them with a confused expression.
And how do you know about that? Question mark. Exclamation point.
Oh, we were briefed on you when you arrived. Seems that fear has been doing a number on you lately.
Anad did not mask the facetiousness in his tone. Arashi felt the heat begin to rise in his belly. He looked at Anad, ready to slap the Cocoa Puffs out of him, but Cody stepped in front of him.
My man, clearly you don't know what you're talking about. That's the dragon right there, aight? And he's been kicking the piss out of fear since before you crawled out of your mama's snatch, aight?
Oh, jeez. Calm down. It was just a question. Oh, it's cute though. You defending your man. It's actually kind of hot. Oh.
Yeah? Well, I don't like assholes. And so far, this place has been full of fucking assholes. So you could take your tacky ass suits and bounce.
Anad threw up his hands and grabbed the clothing rack. Before leaving, he turned around.
I'll be seeing the two of you again very soon.
And with that, he sauntered out into the hall. Cody turned around to face Arashi, just as he cleared the space to embrace him. Arashi was beside himself. This was the the third time that Cody stood up for him. He nestled his nose into Cody's neck. He never felt so vulnerable with anyone like this before. Cody squeezed him and kissed the side of his head warmly.
Hey, I got your back.
Arashi smiled to himself as he played the moment over and over again in his head as they drove. Ishara sat on his lap meditating as Cody and Shimari exchanged their favorite Yo Mama jokes. They traveled an hour outside of the city to where they saw nothing but trees and valleys. So apparently this is where you hide a top-secret airport/military training base deep in the woods. He pondered on those twins, Anad and Sarai. They were both so layered, and he wondered what was their center. Either way, he felt in his gut the next time they met, it wouldn't be so cordial. They arrived at the base just as the sun was about to fully rise. They arrived at a giant wall made of cinder block, where they were escorted in by a couple of suits. They were scanned again by the blue light that turned yellow, then proceeded inside to walk another mile on foot to the runway to board the jumbo jet. It was a huge metallic aircraft. Every inch of it was refractive against the light of the sun.
Hey, dope, right? It's built this way so we won't be seen in the air.
Yeah, Shamari added as they approached it. They walked up the steps and took their seats to wait for the rest of the cavalry to arrive, whoever they may be. Shamari sat in front of them and immediately put on his headphones, drowning everyone out while he sang his songs out loud. He proceeded to sing Fly Like an Eagle by Seal. Arashi and Cody gave each other disgusted looks. Shamari loved to be obnoxious. He continued to mutter his lyrics as Arashi watched Cody stare out the window, taking deep, then shallow breaths. Ishara sat quietly on Arashi's lap, meditating. Even as a bird, she was still more disciplined than he was. Arashi noticed Cody's nerves were a bit on edge since they boarded the flight. After last night, he felt like he was on a spiritual high. Arashi rested his hands on Cody's knee, assuring him that it was going to be okay. Cody looked at Arashi nervously and a bit embarrassed.
Yeah, I'm okay. I just never been on a plane before, so I don't know if I'm nervous or excited.
It's really the same emotion when you think about it. Just tell your mind you're excited rather than scared.
Tell him to meditate on his crown chakra.
Ishara said by clicking her beak.
What'd she say?
She said to meditate on your crown chakra. Focus all your energy there.
Yeah, okay. I'll get right on that.
No. She's serious. I mean, it could really help. She says your crown chakra connects your brain and your nervous system to the divine. Helps you understand your emotions and achieve enlightenment. This is coming from her, by the way. I need to do some opening myself. Arashi signed, getting comfortable in his seat.
Okay, so how do I begin?
Let's connect for a moment. Join hands and tell him to focus on his breathing, and imagine purple energy swirling at his crown.
Arashi held Cody's hand and instructed him to close his eyes and take deep breaths in through his nose and slowly out through his mouth. Cody did as he was told, and moments later found his body vibrating and becoming lighter in weight. The purple energy was tuning his frequencies to hyperdrive. When he felt like he was about to start floating out of his body, he opened his eyes.
Oh, wow. That was cool. I actually feel relaxed.
Cody said, squeezing Arashi's hand to wake him up. When he opened his eyes again, he smiled his tight-lipped smile that Cody loved to see. Yeah, it was more intensified because we were connected, but that's the power of meditating. That was hardly 5 minutes, Arashi signed to him. He then noticed movement outside the window behind Cody. More and more people were arriving at the facility and entering the plane. They couldn't help but notice the age group, however.
They're all kids, just like us.
Cody said, looking at all the people leaving the big armored trucks, but they were actually soldiers. Dressed in military uniform, these kids looked like they grew up in the military. They all seemed to be under the age of 18, boys and girls. Droves of them arrived rapidly, lined up perfectly to be given their next commands.
That's weird. Hey, how can you tell how strong somebody is?
Well, a form of energy is vibration. The faster the vibration, the more energy someone will have. You gotta focus on feeling their spirit vibration.
Okay. So how do I focus on it? Oh, you should do it on me and tell me what you feel.
Cody started turning in his seat. Arashi smiled and agreed. He closed his eyes and focused on feeling out Cody's energy. There was a pulse coming from Cody. He noticed yellow energy vibrating off of him. It was warm and powerful. When he opened his eyes, Cody was staring at him, waiting for a response. Eyes like a tiger. But he still doesn't know how powerful he is.
So, what'd you feel from me?
Cody was nudging Arashi on the shoulder.
Come on, you could tell me.
Okay. I feel warm yellow energy, beating like a drum. Okay, all right. It's your turn. Try it on Ishara.
Okay, all right, let me see.
Cody closed his eyes and held his hands out towards her. He instantly felt a cool breeze against his face and the smell of lavender. Light blue hues danced across his mind's eye, and serene and peaceful energy emanated from her.
Cold, very cold, but peaceful. A cold, peaceful warmth. Wow, it's trippy.
See, sister, I'm not the only one that thinks you're cold.
That's not what he said, you fool. And I'm not cool. Fool. I am cool, not cold. Oh, man.
Sister, please, get it together.
Okay, all right, Ari. It's your turn, buddy. I guess I'm gonna do you.
Cody began focusing his energy on Arashi. After only a few moments, Cody's eyes shot open with surprise.
Whoa, you are so electric. But it's like you're a blue flame. It's beautiful and chaotic. I can't even focus on you for too long. It feels like I could electrocute my brain cells or something.
Electrocuted brain cells sounds right to me.
Yeah, whatever. I like the chaos. Hey, watch this. He signed to Cody. Then he closed his eyes and pushed his energy outward towards Shimari, who was sitting in the seat in front of them. Cody could feel the electricity sparking in the air. The energy collided with Shimari, and then his headphones started to pop and fizzle. He jumped up out of his seat, scrambling to remove the charged headphones from his ears.
Ow! What the hell, fool? Ow!
He jumped up and bumped his head on the ceiling above, and then into some passengers boarding the plane. Arashi and Cody burst into laughter.
Oh, so you want to laugh, little boy? Okay, let's get funny then. Let's get funny.
Shimari had really lost his temper. He reached out to Arashi, but when a sudden booming voice roared through the plane, he paused in his tracks.
Everyone, take your seats. Immediately!
A large person stood towards the front of the aircraft. Arashi leaned over and looked down the aisle to get a better look at who was speaking. He couldn't tell if they were male or female. Cox wore a heavy-looking trench coat embroidered with intricate patterns and had sleek eyebrows that crawled across their face like caterpillars. Cox wore an enormous black and brown 10-gallon hat that seemed very out of place, but from where he sat, Arashi could see the grizzly bear tattoo coming down the side of their head. It was a vicious bear. Whoever the artist was did a really good job. That bear was wicked and could only reflect what this person actually was. Cox had soft features like a woman, but the rest of them were built like a grizzly bear. Arashi had so many questions, and he was sure this was the person behind the machine of this operation. The energy they gave off was less than welcoming. Meanwhile, Shimari was still standing over Arashi's seat.
Wise, you got a problem?
Cox barked at him, using only his last name. Shimari turned to them slowly for dramatic effect.
No, sir, ma'am, sir, I don't.
Then take a seat. Not putting up with your crap today.
Shimari turned quickly, smacked Arashi upside his head, and then sat down. Arashi grabbed his cheek, and then kicked the back of Shimari's seat.
All right, soldiers, listen up. For those of you that are new here today, my name is General Henrine Cox, founder of Muldahara and head of spiritual training and combat. My friends call me Coco. I don't have any friends, and don't think for a second that we will grow to be warm, loving comrades. You will refer to me as General, Captain, Chief, or Sir.
The plane erupted in unison with the "Sir, yes, sir!" The obedience whip was clear. Arashi was getting an annoying feeling already. He hated subordination.
Ooh, this got intense.
Cody thought he whispered to Arashi, but Cox was on him faster than a hungry lion to a fat pig.
Yes, Shay Cody Shay. The intensity is how we get stuff done around here. But my intensity is the least of your worries. Our enemy is fear itself. You haven't seen intense yet.
Actually, I have. But you know, there are different levels of intensity, I guess.
Cody said confidently, but wasn't able to keep eye contact with Cox as they glared at him. Arashi didn't like that either. People who tried to be intimidating were lame. You either are or you're not.
You defeat fear one time, you think you are finished? I know all about it. But what you need to know is that the game doesn't end here, son. Fear will chew you up and swallow you whole, and there ain't no crapping you out. You will live in the belly of the beast for the rest of your miserable life. So yeah, intense is the energy that will remain. You better be ready to step the fuck up for round 2. Have I made myself clear?
I guess.
Cox was asserting their authority figure to the fullest extent. Arashi hated them already. His rebel spirit repelled them instantly. Cody also hated bullies, but he knew how to pick his battles. Arashi, on the other hand, was not as diplomatic. He had been mean-mugging Cox the entire time. He was practically begging them to take the same approach on him. Then, Cox took the bait.
You got something to say, child?
Cox was peering down his nose at Arashi. Shimari was peeking over the seat at their interaction. He had a devilish look on his face. He knew Arashi was not the one to submit to someone like Cox. He wished he had popcorn. Arashi simply looked the general in the eye, looking through them and reading their energy. It was heavy and dense like iron, but there was no fear in their eyes, only fierce determination, almost psychotic. Arashi began pushing his energy outward as a warning. He didn't want the general to think he was suddenly under their command, and this was how he was going to get his point across.
Careful, brother. This person is different.
Fuck that. I'm me. Cody was twitching in his seat as he felt Arashi's energy start to expand. He just looked back and forth between the two of them, having a silent standoff.
Oh, sending me signals of your power, young prince. Please don't bother. I know exactly what you are capable of.
Cox was shrugging him off. Arashi didn't move, just twitched his lips and kept his energy expanding. He wanted everyone to feel him now.
Very well. This will be a perfect demonstration. Some of you may not be aware, but we are in the presence of a very special and important spirit. Arashi, the Prince of the Sky, the Dragon of Lightning, giver of life. Some would call him a god. Even with all that status, he's still an out-of-control, disobedient little boy.
Now, hold on, Cox.
My second in command seems to be under the impression that it is you who holds the power to defeat fear and free the world of its poison madness. I, however, am skeptical. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But I'm not the gambling type. These soldiers have been trained to use their gifts thoroughly and effectively. Only with discipline can one master their gifts. I play the game to win. I don't lose.
Everyone on board was silent. Nanabe boards the plane and is standing at the front. She was tense watching them, careful not to say a word, but ready to interject if she needed to. She knew Arashi wouldn't take to following anyone that claims to be a leader, and the general just had a bad attitude by default. Meanwhile, Arashi was expanding his energy to completely cover the span of the plane. They felt him, and he knew it.
You and your friend here are the only wildcards on this aircraft. Well, besides your bonehead brother.
What?
Which, by the way, if you weren't so talented, you'd be off my goddamn plane.
Well, shit.
I'll be damned if I'm going to allow a child to ruin my plans. So you will submit to my command. Have I made myself clear?
The general was in for a rude awakening. Arashi was fully charged and guaranteed he would make himself clear as well. Arashi allowed a devilish grin to crawl across his lips. Shimari saw what he was about to do and covered his ears instinctively. Nanabe did the same from where she was standing. Arashi opened his mouth to utter the word,
Yep.
No sound came out from his lips, but the entire plane shook from the sound of a bomb going off. The sound of thunder struck the outer perimeters of the plane and rattled it heavily, like they had just hit major turbulence in the sky. The kid soldiers in the plane couldn't help but utter screams of shock. Arashi was now in charge.
Holy shit!
Cody said, covering his ears. His heart was beating out of his chest. He looked at Arashi with a new level of badass. The general didn't make any movements. They stared at Arashi with disapproving eyes, but they changed to something else, like they were accepting whatever challenge Arashi had just initiated.
As I presumed, a child. We take off in 10. Remain in your seats for further debriefing. Final destination, the deserts of Africa.
Cox ignored Arashi's middle finger as they turned around towards the front of the giant plane. They whispered something to Nanabe as they passed her by, and then disappeared into the front section of the aircraft. She gave Arashi a stern look and followed behind them. The plane was quiet, with some muttered whispers until Shimari broke the silence.
Yo, dang, little bro, you brought the thunder and the lightning, though? Yo, I ain't never seen nobody shut Coco up like that before, son. That's crazy.
The plane erupted with laughter and chatter about him. Arashi just sat there with his arms folded.
Oh, brother, When will you learn to play the game?
Never, ever, ever, he said, looking at Cody, who was still in shock, staring back at him. He couldn't read the expression on his face. Arashi waved his hands in front of him to snap him out of it. Cody responded by grabbing his hands into his and holding them tightly.
Yo, remind me to never make you mad.
Arashi smiled, his tight lips smiled, and tilted his head to the side. The plane began to rumble and move forward. Cody instantly tensed up in anticipation of the flight. They wove their fingers together and allowed the plane to carry them off into the sky.
Okay, Africa, here I come.
End of chapter 22.